Gentle babe. Gentle babe, gentle say.
It's raining here in Africa right now here. And just making sure that the content is coming to you live, and it's one on one. I was going to be starting this kind of the video. Thank you very much for you being tuned and locked in. Wow, woo, woo, tan 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 tan. Exactly, guys. As we just start this kind of the video, much of the action and less of the talk here. As we just commence this kind of the video here, it's one on one live. It's underscore Ginto back again. As we just start this kind of the video, guys, today we're going to be talking about why and how are we just being thrown to an imbroglio. What has been the default of being thrown into an imbroglio right now? Look at this kind of the lady called Minhawi. Right now, Minhawi was part of the program, and right now is no longer at the program. You understand what I mean about the program. But when we go direct to the point and pinpoint to the point and say that why is this kind of the things happening the way they're happening and not happening the way they could be happening. Right now, you have seen much of the guy like Cloud Joseph. Why am I saying Cloud Joseph and Minhawi? Right now, they have, yes, they have a fetus, a young baby, a pleasure and kudos to you, Minhawi, and the continuation of your birth. I think right now you are recovering. But to the Esquire, back to the Esquire, much of the people are iteratively getting bad ideas and bad ideologies about this kind of the influence. Because there's a time I talked about things do have a difficulty unto their own homes, here and there. And how are they coming to the default and sometimes engaging in friendship and becoming friends again? This kind of the time, because it reaches at a time, we understand much of the pregnant women. Sometimes they always talk about, oh, my stomach doesn't need this kind of the person. Why am I saying the stomach doesn't need this kind of the person? You understand that our women sometimes, we understand them, and we know this kind of the condition sometimes do happen. That a woman can just come and talk about, today the stomach, or my baby doesn't want to see you in this kind of the house, or I want to see you sleeping down. I understand such kind of the ligaments are always available. Why am I saying so? It's because of maybe they have the hormones that sometimes you can just come in the house. You are from washing yourself. Talk about cleaning yourself. Maybe you are from a shower. They talk about you are smelling bad. And sometimes it's something that is always coming out. So there was a condition that Minhawi reached, and she was ever talking about Cloud Joseph is becoming like a male, a goat, into the house. And the real fact is it's not the way that it could be that way. So we have to consider that kind of a way. And at that moment, Cloud Joseph had to move from his own Esquire and make sure that he's coming back to him once, so as he can give her time, as she could be endured with much of the emotions a little bit. But the fact is that we really understand, because Cloud Joseph, whenever he came, he left her there and she was thrown into an imbroglio. During that time, she was crying A, B, C, D to an A to Z. Every time, so we can just talk about why are you running, why are you going, and you never told me about you going to the village. And during that time, I never had much of the conversation here and there, so we can just make sure that everything is just getting the brimful. And the fact is what? You understand that this kind of the couples, they are now out of the Kenge fraternity. Because of what? Because of just one lactic stupidity thing. That much of the people think about you should be there to suck their own mouth, to suck their own things. Think about, oh, you are just there for sucking only. But they don't understand that this kind of a person will have a competition that will have a very bitter competition. Maybe this kind of a person is getting an influence. Why am I saying so? It seems that even Kenge ever asked for something from Minhawi, but Minhawi talked about no. Because when I ever came to the villa, even me, once upon a time, I found that this kind of the two ladies, they were Howie and the other sausage girl from Nyabuanse here, who is always talking about gonna be migrating to Nyabuanse for default. She was ever talking about, oh, I got a land, oh, it's called what?
Just a stagnant
a big surprise, I have a land and they have never shown you again that kind of the land. Stupidity of the high thought. Don't be cheated, there's no land there. It's just talking about, oh guys, I have a land here and there's nothing there. Just waiting for it, rotating around somebody talking about, oh, can you go and see this kind of the land and tell me how much it will just be costing. And very near to Priska Sagat. But the effect is that there's nothing there. So they were just two friends, and whenever they arrived to my Yuguno position, I was checking them, but I was not agreeing. During that time, they came and they just ventured themselves to my Yuguno first so we can introduce them to Kenge and to the villa there. So when they went, Kenge ever saw the beautiness that was there, because Kenge is driven with the beauty, driven with the buttocks. Look at the sausage girl with the buttocks. Always bam, 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 bam. That's the effect. And whenever Kenge says that, oh, is this a human being? Yes. Now, whatever comes, A, B, C, D, whatever comes. That is the default that we have to understand, because Kenge is driven with buttocks. And right now he's suffering because the Argentinian long nose is a fraternity. And he's talking about how can I do this kind of the things to him? How can I do so the Argentinian long nose can ever go to him? Look at whenever we were going for swimming and talking about there was a fall that we went. I was me, I was Gitriva, was Kenge, was Argentinian long nose, it was talk about a sausage girl, and was the Didi uncle. And why did Kenge allow Argentina long nose and the sausage girl to be together? It's because of the Nyash. Kenge wanted to compare them, and he was comparing, talk about be this way, cha, oh, put your legs that way, cha, and make sure that everything's fantastic. Kenge likes Nyash, and they can be driven with the Nyash in a whatever manner you want. That's the real fact. So what came out as an advantage is that Kenge understands that even Minihau was part of the good program during that time. And during that time, Minihau was one of the very legitimate people who could just be speaking very fluent English, was an influence. She was a PA and she was doing much of the things. That's why you see Claude Joseph right now is making sure that everything is happening very correctly. Why am I saying correctly? It means that Claude Joseph right now, she saw that this kind of a lady, she has a brain to take us far. I want to introduce my children with brain. But if you see about because of the Nyash, because of what, now Kenge wants to have children of Nyash only. That's the only fact. But when we compare it and see it very correctly this way, that's what is really coming out. I saw one day this kind of the lady who is the sausage girl talking about love, and he's calling Kenge love. That's the fact. And Argentina long nose, she's just there pretending and sitting like a goon and waiting for an African to take over the game. She's thinking that whenever Kenge is in Argentina, eating from the mother, eating from the parents, thinks about the Kenge cannot cheat. It's being called babe, it's being called hubby, it's being called love. You understand? Language. So the fact is that you're being cheated. You're just there to be used as a ghetto girl. And Kenge has the buttocks to make sure that it's going to be controlling. Because Kenge likes shakere, 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 baby, shakere, 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 baby, shakere, shakere. That's the fact. And the Kenge likes such kind of the snap. Like such kind of the improv. Making sure that everything, you have to engage yourself and see the sitting position of your baby. The future of your baby. Whenever they're going to be carried at the back, and you go. That's the only thing that they need. But now, whenever you have Argentina long nose who is looking like a Ben sometimes it's a hard kick also. So sometimes even the Kenge has to do something which is very legit. So you can just talk about this how this works. So the fact has to be entitled as a fact. So right now, what defaulted this kind of the people to get apart? It's because of the stupidity, nasty things that how we saw from this kind of the regime. It was not pointing out. It was an alarming thing that it could not be a good thing for somebody to talk about, oh, because of this kind of the partnership, because of this kind of the way, because of this kind of the way. It could be so hectic for this kind of the people and the couples to get forward. So that's why they decided themselves, they have to take themselves in a way that it could be so fantastic for them not to have this kind of the esquires every time. So this is the hectic things that are always coming in as a default that Kenge cannot even understand. And it's because of the jealousy that talk about this kind of the Club Joseph has gone much of the countries that they're gonna be now becoming the second traveler than him. So sometimes it's stupidity of the highest order. Sometimes you have to change with the change. That's the fact. It is a beautiful day, beautiful time. As we just commenced, this kind of the good video. And wherever you're coming from, thank you very much for being tuned and locked in. Today look like the priest. Yeah, this kind of the coat I'm wearing is gonna be liking the priest here. Everything is fantastic, guys. Wherever you're coming from, thank you very much for being tuned. And we had one-on-one, receiving much of the cows here. Gonna be coming from the sleeping time to the evening session. And everything is so very good. And the bulls, exactly, fun time. So guys, on this aspect, making sure that everything is coming to you live, which is one-on-one. Whenever they're gonna be growing, to make sure that we're gonna be having much of we're gonna be having much of the cows representing the G castle. The cows are the history. Talk about the dogs and the much history too. To make sure that we're gonna be covering much of the things here. As we just on look at the G castle here, everything is going good. It's all on Saturday, and there's not much of the work that's gonna be just taking the position here. But much of the things are already going forward. Despite that we are having too much rain. That's not even just raining here. Cats and dogs. And every time it's just raining. Right now even it has become so nasty and too much. And we are not compromising the God's nature. But the rain has rained. Wareni. The sunny was sunny. Wareni. So exactly. Everything is fantastic. Back to the center of happiness. Here we are at the banana plantation to make sure that everything is coming to you live, which is one-on-one live from this kind of the characteristic time. I think you're just checking me very fantastic. Here I don't have a stand. I'm just using a banana as a stand to make sure that you are getting the entertainment. And today I'm just looking like a priest here. Everything is so fantastic. Thank you very much, guys, for you being tuned and locked in. As we're just moving to this kind of the esquire of the time, I appreciate much of the effort and subscribing, like and sharing. Much of the new subscribers, thank you very much for you being there and retaining much of your subscription and watching much of the video entirely and obscurdias. Some of the things are just heterozygotes outside here. We have to understand and liquidify to talk about some of the things are so not capable for us to get forward. But we're going to be getting back to the real regime here. So today, guys, we're going to be discussing much of the things regarding to how the G Castle is moving on. And much of the people are talking about getting to update us on this and this. The real fact is we are going good. Today was on Saturday. There was much of no duties here because I'm from Migori. A little bit to check on 2-3 things about the lock. Talk about the doors are now a little bit fixed properly, and we are just looking for the locks and everything. So we're gonna be having the locks already bought here, and the extra welding rods are we went a little bit. We were lacking them a little bit, and we have just already purchased. And much of the things that are essential in terms of using, so they can just rectify much of the things at the G Castle. And to the real fact that is just taking place here is tomorrow going to be on Sunday, and we're going to be having already Fundi Duke democalizing here to make sure that is continuing with much of the work of welding. We're never going to be finishing it up. We're going to be having the painter already, and we talk about grinding. It should be grinded also to have those kind of the spots to be regulated and be flushed with the surface area exposed. So as it's going to be raining here, and the season is very much fantastic, but very cold. I think it's going to be the winter here in Africa right now, and or talk about in Africa like in Kenya, probably in Nyabohanse, and we are just making sure that we are always protecting ourselves because we are to be protected muchly here. As everything is just going as far as everything was put in conclusion. we are going to the straight or to the point here, guys. Today, I've just got much of the responsibility to talk about what has been getting through us and how we are just feeling as the YouTubers here in Nyaboanse. Because right now, you have just checked much of the people right now, they are coming up to talk about they are quitting out of YouTube. What has cut much of the things to be in such kind of a scenario? What is just getting to this kind of the by fault right now is that we are humiliated, number one. Number two, right now, even we are talking about the GDP in terms of talk about the change rate right now, it's a little bit lower. And much of the people right now, they have just already knowing that what is really coming out and how the things are just coming out to this kind of the way forward. But it's because of the alteration of much of the people. They don't understand what's really coming out and how it's going to be coming, because much of the people think about, oh, you should be in this kind of the team so as you can just be successful in life. And I've ever been telling much of the boys and young boys that it doesn't matter which kind of the pathway you take. As long as you're going to be getting forward, everything has to go on and on. Because I've just seen that whoever we started much of the YouTube with, much of the boys, much of the ladies, they have quitted out, they're not uploading. What is coming to the eco-calculative move that is just getting to the bifault? I said that we are getting to this kind of the bifault because of one person who has taken that the regime is going to be getting to their own emphasis so as they can just talk this way and initiate that way. That is what is now getting to the entirety that much of the people, they have to depend on that kind of the person so they can just arrive and make sure that they're going to be as commarized and getting forward to the brim. But the fact has to be entitled as a fact. Why are they waiting for this kind of the, why are they not having it right now whenever this kind of the person is no longer available? I said we are being scammed. We were told that you have to stay that I'm at the villa, I'm at the villa, I am at the villa, which is now making much of the people to talk about why can't you do it as your own, rather than making sure that every day you are posting this kind of the gentleman and making him popular than other people. That's what is getting to the people and by faultly lacking behind in terms of the content right now. And that's why you see much of the people right now, they are humiliated, they are aggressive, they are jealous whenever they see that why is this kind of the person only progressing and we are not progressing. That is what we call the jealousy of the highest order. It's not that I ever dreamt that I will ever be in such kind of a way, but God knows that this kind of the person has to go this way because of the heart you are having. Because when we start talking about how have I passed, and where am I passing through, and how I've just passed through to reach this kind of the brim, I've suffered a lot the backward here. I've just been rained. I've been doing this. I've been doing this. Right now, I'm being rained. So some of the people talk about, oh, you know, I cannot be rained. Oh, am I a fool? Oh, what am I looking for? Oh, it's something which is hectic at the same time. But when we go direct to the point is much of the people think about whenever you monetize a channel, it's just now a sleeping parlor. So they can just talk about now I have monetized a channel, they have to sleep. It's where now the work starts. That's where now the work is starting. Much of the people don't understand it. And they think about whenever you have monetized a channel, they see that, oh, Gintu is posting, the other person is posting. I've been posting to increase the chances of people watching, and they will not they will not throw me back. And a way that they'll ever talk about Gintu is posting at what time. We shall have to make sure that this kind of, we have to wait for this kind of the video to come. And much of the people think about just a lacking, just a sleeping mood, and they wake up and talk about, oh, you have this kind of, you have to strive and make it happen. There's nothing comes in a silver plate. Look at even Kenge went and just excavated some people's body, dead bodies there. He's working. That's a work we are talking about. Whatever comes, whether rude, whether bad, whether this, you see how Gintu is being followed. Some people are just fearing that, oh, whenever I say about this kind of the family, it's not doing good, we're going to be arrested. I'm going to be going in. But why are we striving to make it? The legacy comes once. And if the legacy is lost to our own generation, whenever it comes to the next generation, they talk about, where were you? Why couldn't you stop this kind of the regime? Why couldn't you stop this kind of the kakistocracy way of movement here? Why couldn't you defend yourself? Why couldn't you do this? Why couldn't you do that one? And it will become so stupid for us to start entitling that, oh, I was this, I was that. It will be a stupid way for us to analyze and tell to the young generation, what are we going to do, how are we going to be doing it, and how could we do it? It's something by faultly not understandable. That is the real fact. So for the real fact that is coming out right now is we have to gauge ourselves, understand what are we doing, at what time, how are we doing it, but not that we should just leave that whenever something happens to me bad, I should just stop and I die for it. Look at what happened to Minihawi. Why did Minihawi be vanished? Because Minihawi, whenever we talk about the direct forward, we understand about it. What happened to Minihawi? Minihawi had this kind of the calculus way of making sure that he's giving out the correct authentic to much of the people. And they should understand it. But she was thrown to an imbroglio because of saying the truth. Keep it tuned. Guys, I'm just going back to the G Castle here, so I can just check what is really happening. As before I could just reach to that kind of the brim point, I can just start with the children have just make sure that here things are just rampant here. Exactly. The fooding here, yesterday it was a celebration somewhere. I went and brought some very many food for the dogs here. So the water is califragistically good and things are now happening to be so fantastic. Right now I'm doing fertilization of the pond to make sure that we're going to be getting much of the good fertilization, which is enriching water with fertility, as to make sure that whenever fish are going to be spotted here, they're going to be going good at this kind of the spot. This is for the tilapia fish, and we have the other one for the catfish. But the good thing is we are looking forward to make sure that everything is maintained with a high grade of maintenance here. It's aquaculture that we're going to be taking over the game here. So we are a little bit to stock much of the things here. So guys, we have much of the timbers here. We're going to be making sure that we are spotting a better way, because right now we're going to be not using much of the timbers here. They're going to be waiting until the plaster, so you can just use the donkey swords. You can just climb to the top, as much of the things will be in concern. So we have much of the soil here. I talk about the sand for the plaster. We are just waiting for the moment to reach, as we're going to be getting back to the G Castle, so as you can just check what is really happening here. So we have much of the timbers. They're going to be looking for a best selected area, so you can just place them so as you cannot have much of them being rained here too. As we just get into this kind of the position, it's gonna be getting very the doors here and everything is just working properly. They have been grinded good, and this is the bigger door. It's a GC, it's a G Castle, and everything is so fantastic. It's gonna be very, 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 very night here, a little bit here, because we're going to be getting very evening session, so that's why the light is shenaniganing a little bit. As we're going to be getting to the top side here, so I can just see what is really happening to the G Castle a little bit, as I'm going to be democratizing to give you much of the feedback on this kind of the day, on what has really come out of this kind of the session. So the G Castle is good, and there's no much of hesitation to talk about what's really coming out and what's really not coming in, as we are making a change and getting a very big change right now here. So it has been cleaned, even at the top here. It's really cleaned enough to make sure that we are supportedly getting much of the good vibe to grow with onto the G Castle here. As I can just talk about everything is the way I've ever been communicating. And today the top mason was no longer available to make sure that he's checking on other staffs there and here because of the charges. And tomorrow but one going to be coming, because I don't have much of the hesitation. He is the one who understands that this is the next and this is not the next, and how we're going to be doing much of the work here. And much of the thank you to everyone who has been supporting Gintu and making sure that we are getting forward from one position to another. It has not been easy for us, even this kind of the condition, the climate is so harshish for us to continue with. But we thank the living God, because he's the one who is prompting to have everything just controlling and getting forward to this kind of the brim point here. So it's just a small rain just coming down a little bit, that doesn't have much of the affection. So we're going to be having some cleanness a little bit because we are completely finishing from the top here. So we're going to be having going back to this kind of the gutter here. It's going to be clean enough to make sure that now we're going to be collecting much of the water from the far end, as it's one of the legit water that we're going to be receiving. So I talked about the person who talked about going to make sure that we're going to be having some lighting. So guys, we're going to be having some lightings here that are going to be in a blue, and talk about the bluish color that's going to be coming or reflecting from the G castle, because it's going to be reflecting the whitish and reflecting the bluish from here after the plaster and everything's just done. So we are just looking forward for the plaster. Somebody can talk about Ogintu. I want to buy you much of the sand, even a truck. A truck costs 8,000 Kenya shillings, which is approximately, whenever we calculate it, it's like, how much is that one? 70 US dollars, exactly. 70 US dollars, one truck of sand. And I can talk about, oh, thank you very much for your time. And even $10 is enough, guys. Whenever you say that things are not working properly, you can just talk about, oh, Gintu, I can send you $10, so as you can just have. We are always preparing the materials to make sure that whenever it gets to the actual work, we don't have that kind of a hesitation that, oh, we are lacking this, we're going to be stepping down, because already we have the engineer, we have the top mason, and we are lacking much of the things behind. So it will be so hectic for us not to move in a very significant way. So, but in a way that we are just moving is very awesome, because we're going to be finishing much of the welding and improvising much of the deck rods that are going to be placed onto the deck here. And also, guys, I've spoken to one of the guys who ever put the helipad onto the Kenge, and it's called the John the Terrazzo. And I was ever working with that kind of a man, and I really respect and I know him very fantastic. And I was asking about putting the terrazzo to the top of the deck here. So it was it will not be so bad, or so it will be so cost effective. When I calculate and talk about it's a 22 by 10 by 40 by 7 or 8, it means that we're going to be having 10 cements. One cement for the terrazzo, it costs 2,300 Kenya shillings, and making sure that everything going to become under the chips, different types of the chips, so as you can just make sure that they are mixed together and grinded, and you can just make sure that we are having a better and a better and a better terrazzo. Talk about the floor and to the section of the upper section here. That is the best moment that we are looking for, and that's why I talked about going to be having the terrazzo to the top here, after making sure that the welding is complete. And also we're going to be having the blendering also going to be kicking off, and also we're going to be having other section talking about we're going to be having the plumbing, which is going to be coming very, very fantastic from next week. That is the best point that we are talking about next week, meaning that the other week but one from this one that's going to be coming from on Monday. So that's where we want to move to, and make sure that the G Castle is moving so fantastic to where we are. So the terrazzo going to be placed from the far end and passing through this kind of the stairs cases here, and also getting to the section down here. So much of the people will be asking about, oh, Gintu, what do you mean that even here we're going to be deciding about is it going to be covering even this kind of the veranda, the down area here? Because still here we have not even placed much of the concrete, because of this kind of the pipings for the water lowering it down, because we're going to be having a pipe here formulated in a way that it's going to be looking like we are having a beam here. So they're going to be covering this kind of the section, another one going to be coming from here, another one from the front yard there, so you can just have this kind of an area covered very fantastic. So that is a good move that we want to be making sure that we are moving with this kind of the week. As we go back to this kind of the area, we are having much of the water still leaking here, but we have a small channel that deliver this kind of the water to the far end and turning and getting a point there. So this kind of an area I talked about, we're going to be having much of the time whenever it gets to the conscience time, we're going to be getting a very big hole here that we're going to be collecting all of this water and being placed inside and being pumped to the tower, so they can just have a very big tower to this kind of the spot here. And this kind of the house process here, we're going to be coming back after framing and getting the quotation of the perimeter wall. That is the best moment that we are looking for. This kind of the timber backs, we're going to not have them badly used here, because they're going to be used in terms of enclosing the bigger hole that we're going to be having there, as we're going to be collecting much of the water to sustain our sustainabilities here. So already we have some of the kales here. We have planted much of the kales here to make sure that people are eating. So we are just targeting for the next month to have much of the people eating much of the kales from this kind of the position. So we are preparing everything with accordance of how we want it to be. And I talked about much of the bricks here. We are having much of the bricks here, but we are having much of the rainy. It's a rainy season, and we are just having much of the time to for them to dry. But it's going to be taking as long. That's why I talked about. I don't have much of the talk about that kind of. I need them faster. No, I have much of the bricks still at the area, and I don't need much of the bricks right now. I want them to go slowly. But whenever the rain is going to be going low, they're going to be coming and just formulating the bricks and just leaving to their homes. That is the best moment that we are looking for, so as we can just move forward. Thank you very much for everyone who has been tuned and locked in. We are just getting into the music, so entertained and get the brim point getting forward. Thank you very much for everyone who has been tuned and locked in and just getting much of the point from Gintu. I respect and I cherish your moment, and I say that let's get to the music, which is bam bam bam.
To say, yeah, we ride, locked inside the castle where the secrets all collide. Real fact, much of the people never see what's beyond the walls, where the echo sets you free. Thrown into an imbroglio, lost inside the maze. Shadows whisper stories that'll haunt you for days. Truth or illusion, who's pulling the strings? Gintu's got a mystery that destiny brings. Gintu G Castle echoes in the night, locked in the moment, lost in the fight. Gintu A with the vision, see the world unfold. Gintu B making moves, always playing bold. Gintu C silent steps in the dark. One wrong turn, now you're stuck in the park. Much of the people, they don't understand legends of the castle carved deep in the sand. Doors keep slamming, whispers turn cold. Who holds the key? The story's untold. Gintu G Castle, a name carved in stone. Truth lies hidden, but you're never alone. Thrown into an imbroglio, lost in the haze. Step into the mystery, you'll be here for days. Down at Amarwa Fish Pond, things went wrong. This Gintu was the expert, but he's long gone. Tilapia swimming slow, turtles in a haze. Fish pond turned to trouble in those crazy days. Oh, the fish were suffocating, ammonia in the air. No water in the pond, man, it just ain't fair. Turtles and the tilapia fighting for a breath. Amarwa Fish Pond flirting with death. It's Gintu kept the balance, or so we thought. But then he got the axe and the pond was bought. Turtles crowding corners, fish belly up and still. Ammonia creeping higher, giving us the chills. Oh, the fish were suffocating, ammonia in the air. No water in the pond, man, it just ain't fair. Turtles and the tilapia fighting for a breath. The Amarwa Fish Pond flirting with death. Keeping fish with turtles, what a wild mistake. No flow, no filter, just a stagnant lake. His Gintu could have saved it, he knew the fix. Now the pond's a graveyard, caught in the mix. Tilapia floating quiet, turtles barely crawl. No water left to save them, no hope at all. Amarwa's a legend, a cautionary tale. Fish pond dreams all drowned in a rusty pail. Oh, the fish were suffocating, ammonia in the air. No water in the pond, man, it just ain't fair. Turtles and the tilapia fighting for a breath. The Amarwa Fish Pond flirting with death. So here's to its Gintu, fired and gone. The fish pond silent now, no swan song. Raise a glass to the chaos, the mess we've seen. Amarwa Fish Pond, a busted dream. So here's to its Gintu, fired and gone. The fish pond silent now, no swan song. Raise a glass to the chaos, the mess we've seen. Amarwa Fish Pond, a busted dream. President of Africa, King Ibrahim Traore, the King of Africa. One love, one Africa, one currency, one army, one country, one passport, one president, one king. One love, one Africa, one currency, one army, one country, one passport, one president, one king. Press Kenge says, take down the borders and let freedom ring. All Africans home and abroad, let's shout it out and sing. Take down the borders and let freedom ring. Take down the borders and let freedom ring. The United States of Africa, the United People of
Africa. President Ibrahim Traore, the President of Africa. King Ibrahim Traore, the King of Africa. We must give thanks and praises to our ancestors, sir, for answering our prayers. Our new king has arrived. For so long we have been waiting for our new beloved king, King Ibrahim Traore, the King of Africa. President Ibrahim Traore, the President of Africa. King Ibrahim Traore, the King of Africa. Raspingi says, from Tunisia in the north to South Africa in the south, from Senegal in the west to Somalia in the east. No one can stop us now. We know our rights. No one can stop us now. We must unite. We must unite. We must unite. One love, one Africa, one currency, one army, one country, one passport, one president, one king. Take down the borders and let freedom ring. All Africans home and abroad, let's shout it out and sing. Raspingi says, we must give thanks and praises to our ancestors for answering our prayers. Let's give thanks, our new king has arrived. For so long we have been waiting for our new beloved king, King Ibrahim Traore, the King of Africa. President Ibrahim Traore, the President of Africa. King Ibrahim Traore, the King of Africa. Back down the border, he says, we must give thanks and praises to our ancestors for answering our prayers. Let's give thanks, our new king has arrived. For so long we have been waiting for our new beloved king, King Ibrahim Traore, the King of Africa. President Ibrahim Traore, the President of Africa. King Ibrahim Traore, the King of Africa. Take down the King Ibrahim Traore, the King of Africa. Take down the borders and let freedom ring. All Africans home and abroad, let's shout it out and sing. Raspingi says,